of In Your Head with Shannon Standiford. My name is obviously Shannon Standiford because it is my podcast. And with me today is Amanda. Now, is it Phipps?
Yes, Phipps.
Okay, Amanda Phipps, who is from the great state of Ohio in Crestline. She is a former Miss Universe. Not this one, though. She is the owner of a very sketchy eyebrow, and we have yet to figure out which one is the actual sketchy version of the eyebrow. And she may or may not have been the second gunman on the grassy knoll. So,
I knew you were going to
how
say
are
something.
you?
I knew it. I knew it. It's usually the right
I mean,
eyebrow, though. I'm surprised you didn't
is
say the
it?
right one. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna leave the listeners, you know, give it up for interpretation.
That's true. That's true.
So, how you been?
I've been good. I've been really good.
So, so I guess let's just get right into it. Always the first question, and it's always one of those questions that everybody's like, "Oh shit, how was this? How was Amanda's childhood?"
Oh, Amanda's childhood was honestly, it was not the greatest. Um, I did not grow up in a very loving home. Um, my mother was present, but she was not there, if that makes sense. She worked third shift. She slept during the day, and when she was off of work, she stayed in her room, and we were not allowed in there. So I rarely got to see her. I mean, we would like go to the store every now and again, go out to eat and stuff like that, but there was never no like I love you. There were no hugs. There were none of that. My father, he died of an overdose when I was 12. Um, I was kept from him because I was told he was very abusive towards me. I was also told that he was on drugs really bad. But later on, I found out that it was all false. I was robbed of a relationship with him. Um, I was told that when my father had went to prison, he was on drugs, but he wasn't as bad as my family made him out to be. But when he was in prison, my mother, what a wonderful mother she was. She got with his brother, my uncle. So when he got out of prison and he realized that his brother was raising his kids, he went into depression and he overdosed. I think it was uh, on purpose. I think that's what happened, but they say that it wasn't. But I don't know because I didn't really know him. The only memory that I had of him was I was playing ball with him and my brother in the backyard, and I just remember getting upset with him because I watched him take his shirt off because it was a hot summer day. I watched him take his shirt off, and then I watched my brother take his shirt off. And I wanted to take my shirt off, but they're like, no, you can't do that. And I remember getting mad over that, but that was literally the only memory that I have of him. But anyways, I grew up with my younger sister and my brother. I also have an older brother. I was told that he got into drugs, overdosed, died. I had never met him. And then I have an older sister. She's a beautiful black woman. She was taken away from us when I was like 7, I think. There's a whole story with that. When my mother got with my uncle, he was actually the one that raised us. I think I already said that, but when she got with him, he is racist. He did not like the fact that she had a little black daughter. So he made up this story that one morning we all were playing Twister, the game Twister, and we were little kids. You know how when you play Twister, you get all like, your right hand goes on the yellow
Hmm.
square, and So it was my brother and my sister playing at the same time, and something, I would say, like, maybe her leg touched his private area, and my uncle made this whole big issue of it. So he had my brother believing it was this wrong thing. And my brother has a mental disability. He has like the mentality of, I would say, like maybe a 13-year-old. He's 37, but he's not all up there. So in his mind, my uncle putting all that in his head was wrong. So she got sent away. My mother actually got an abandonment charge for that, but I've never seen her after that. She actually came up to visit last year, and we all sat down, and went through all of the memories and stuff like that, and it was really good to see her. But anyways, moving from there, I was not allowed to have a relationship with my aunt, with my grandma and grandpa. I have very few memories with them because when my mother got with my uncle, like like we had nothing to do with that side of the family. Like I don't remember like any family reunions. I don't like there was nothing. Like we were so secluded. Like there was a fence that was around our house. Like we were not allowed out. The only thing that we were allowed to do was go to school and come home. That was it. We weren't allowed to call friends. We weren't allowed to go hang out. No sleepovers, no nothing. We were so secluded in this little family. Like I didn't even know what alcohol was for the longest time ever. Like it was very, very sheltered. Um, but it was a mental abuse that I thought was normal. So growing up, after I got out of the home, I understood it. But there was an incident that happened. Um, I don't. Well, my sister and I got into a fight, and she went and she told my uncle, and he got so mad at me. And mind you, like since my mom is not around, she is around, but she's not around. I am the one that took care of the family. I cooked, I cleaned, I did everything for the family. Okay, so I always tried. I'm the person that I want to make everybody happy. Like that's who I am. Like I go above and beyond and out of my way to make everybody happy. So I tried to stay out of trouble. But sisters are gonna fight. I don't remember what. I think we fought over something, and I hit her with a broom. I think that's what it was. But anyway, so she
As you
went.
do.
I'm sorry.
As you do.
Oh yeah, yeah. So she went and told him, and I just remember him coming at me full force and kicking me in my leg. This was the first time he has ever done anything like that to me. So like the next day, I go to school, and in gym we have to wear shorts, and one of my friends notices this big bruise on my leg, and I'm embarrassed of it, and I told her. She was the only girl that I told what happened to. Like, I was so ashamed of my childhood, I didn't tell any of my friends what was going on at home, like, any of them, except for her. I told her. And she went and told one of the counselors at school, and they called children's services. And before they went and called my mom or my uncle, they spoke with me, and they said that nothing could be done about it because it was not near an organ. It wasn't my face or near an organ. It was just my leg. Now, mind you, I didn't want anything to become of what happened. So I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to get in so much trouble. But like the day after that is when the principal called my uncle and told him, like, hey, CPS called. This is what was said, blah, blah, blah. So, and this was towards the end of the school year. So summer break was coming up. And I just remember when I got home and I was told that CPS was called, I was petrified. I was shaking. Like I was in tears. Like, and I was telling him, I swear I did not tell anybody except for my friend. And I kept on like, I told her not to say anything. And he was calm. He was so calm about it. I was like in shock. Like, you know something's wrong. Like, okay, like I'm telling myself, you know something's wrong. This is not normal. So then after school was out, they uh after school was out, they took the garage. We had an attached garage that we never used for cars. It was just for junk, whatever. They turned that into my bedroom. I was essentially kicked out of the home. Um, and I was out there. The door was always locked. I honestly don't ever remember taking a shower. I wasn't allowed to eat with the family. I don't remember ever getting food. I remember eating dog food. I was so hungry. We had a dog. I remember sleeping with him outside, like just begging God to just take my life. It was just bad. But my brother, he was like the best child any parent could ever ask for. My sister, my little sister, she was good too. They favored her a lot, but like I don't know what I did so wrong. I don't know what I did so wrong because I'm telling you, I did everything for those people, like everything. And then like after all of that, like as years go by, whatnot, things start to get better, and then they go to crap, and they have different punishments for me. Like I would have to sit at a table, like the dining room table, all day long. The only time I could get up was to go to the bathroom or to cook the family dinner, breakfast, whatever. And that was it. I had to like write out the definition of each word in the dictionary for like I would have to sit at the table for months. Like it I don't know. I just got fed up with how I was treated there. And then the very okay, so I should say this. We moved out to a small town, and I met this guy. He used to like ride around the house that we moved to, and I met him, and he was like my first boyfriend, I guess. And so very first boy that showed me attention. So he's the one that I lost my V card to, all that stuff. I would sneak out with him. And I was close to turning 18. So we had a plan. As soon as I turned 18, I was moving out with him. And my mom and my uncle found out that I was talking to this guy, and they found out my plan because my brother told them after he found out, and this and that, whatever. And they were like, Amanda, if you leave when you turn 18, we are disowning you and you are never coming back. And I said, okay. And I wasn't lying. The morning I turned 18, I left, and I have not seen those people since 2008, the morning of April 6th, 2008. And this man that I left home with is the father of my daughter, and he is the one who introduced me to drugs, introduced me to horrible emotional trauma, horrible mental abuse. Never physical, though, which to me, emotional and mental abuse is way worse than physical. But then from there, I was with him for 12 years, and that's when I became addicted to drugs. That's when I became a heroin addict. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm going off the topic of my childhood.
No, no, no. There's plenty of things that I can go from there. So, all right. So let's just go off from the fact that you became a an addict, and as someone that knows just how bad that can get, without going into the whole story of the addiction, what was your rock bottom?
When was my rock bottom?
What was your rock bottom?
What was my rock bottom? My rock bottom was when I attempted to overdose myself, but it didn't happen. I had 15 heroin bags that I put in a spoon. And the only reason why, like, I even had that many at one time was because I stole 15 of them from my daughter's father, because at that point he was selling them to provide our addiction. And I forgot that I had those in my bra. And before I found those in my bra, I was using a knife on my wrist. And then when I found those, that's when I did that, and it didn't work. But that was definitely rock bottom for me, for sure.
Well, of all the things you can suck at, offing yourself is highly up there, you know. So like, so congratulations on being a failure on that end.
Thank you.
So, all right, so you hit rock bottom. You you're probably in like the worst headspace around. You're obviously in not a very good physical or mental space. Um, what changes your life? What is entering your mind that says, "Hey, th screw this. I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. I gotta move. I gotta go up. I gotta fight all this."
Okay, so that moment that I did those 15 bags and it didn't work, that was the moment I got down on my hands and knees and I begged God to help me get out of the addiction. Like, I was uncontrollably sobbing and begging him to help me. And almost, I think it was either the very next day or the day after, was when I was sitting on the couch and I seen two cops walk up the porch. And I look at my daughter's father with this look, like he had the same look on his face that I did. And I usually, like, when an addict sees a cop, petrified. I was happy. I'm not exaggerating. I swear I was so happy. But he was petrified. He was petrified. They knock on the door and he goes and answers it. And he said, "We're here to do a wellness check on your daughter." And he's like, "Go ahead, come on in." So they come in. And um, so the one officer is downstairs looking around. And we were both downstairs with our daughter, too. We were watching a movie. And the one officer walks upstairs and he goes up there. And we both know um, that there is a box of syringes that are just out. And granted, I know that's bad. With our daughter, I know. But there is a box of syringes that are out. And he comes downstairs and he's like, "Which one of you are diabetic?" And I was like, "My mom is diabetic." And then that's when my daughter's father is like, "It's all mine. I take the blame for everything." And I think the other officer that was downstairs, he found two guns. I believe, yeah, two guns. And then they found some Xanax, some weed, and then a couple heroin bags also with the bag with the guns. And so they put him in handcuffs and they take him outside. And the other officer tells me, "Is there anybody that you can call to come get your daughter?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can call her grandma." And then he looks at me and he's like, "I know those aren't all his." And I broke down and I said, "Those are mine too." So he says, "Go ahead and call her grandma, and then I'm going to place you under arrest too." And I started crying and I call her and she comes over and she gets my daughter and I get in the back of the cop car, and that is the start of my detox. That is the start of my sober life. And that is the day my entire life changed for the better. And that is when God answered my prayer, for sure.
So How long have you been sober now?
over 10 years.
I was trying to remember if it was 10 years. That's so it's a decade of sobriety, and as somebody that has kind of been there, it is a decade of just constant. Gotta get through the day. Gotta get through the day. Gotta get through the moment. 'Cause life happens. Have how has the last 10 years been for you as far as the sobriety part?
Honestly, it's been good. It's like when I first got out of jail and I was doing outpatient rehab and I was on probation doing random drug tests, like that was the easy part for me. Like wanted, I was determined to do right, to get my daughter back, to get my own place, to do everything right because her dad was on his way to prison because that was my first time ever getting in trouble. So I got treatment in lieu of conviction. But that wasn't his first time getting in trouble. So he was going to prison regardless. And that was my time to get away from him. So I was working on myself. So being sober away from people who were using, that was the easy part for me. But like when I get upset or when I have a horrible day, I don't think about going out and using anymore. Even like, okay, so when I was in the beginning stages of sobriety, yes, there were times where I would say, you know what, it would just be so much easier to go get high and not have to worry about this or just become numb and forget about this momentarily. But like as of now, as considered like now, it is not even a thought anymore, honestly. It's awesome.
So does your daughter know the whole story?
Yes,
How did
she
that
remembers.
conversation go?
She remembers everything. There's times where she will be like, "Hey, mom, do you remember this time when you were on dad stuff?" Or, "Mom, do you remember this time when you and dad were doing this?" And I feel bad because that time was when she started kindergarten and I wasn't there for her. And she ended up having to do kindergarten over. But I know she forgives me for it. But I'll always have that guilt of not being there for her. Like just the other day, we were having a conversation about this picture that she drew me while I was in active addiction. And she's like, "Hey, mom, do you remember that one time I drew that picture for you of a fairy, I think, or a butterfly? And I came in the room to give it to you, and you and dad yelled at me. In we were actively, using at the moment." And I was like, "Yes, baby, I do remember that." And it would just be random spurts like that she would just bring things like that up. But she remembers a lot, like a lot. Stuff that I don't remember until she brings it up to me. She was definitely traumatized by it.
Do you think you find it harder to forgive yourself for all this than it is to like accept forgiveness from her?
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I do.
So you get away from the guy, and you are actively working on yourself, uh, and you're trying to raise your daughter. Um, how does being a single mom uh kind of factor into your life while you're trying to be, in recovery at the same time? Like, is it harder for you to be like both parents and
You mean back then?
try to stay sober?
Is that what you mean back then?
Yeah.
Well, back then, I lost custody of her, so she was with her grandma.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to live with her because I was in outpatient rehab. I had to live with somebody else. I was only allowed visitation. And I ended up getting into another relationship with another man who turned out to be physically abusive. And this one was my son's father, who ended up going to prison because he, you know, was another addict. But he wasn't using in front of me because he knew I was in recovery. He would go off and, take my car and go on drug runs, and then ended up taking my car on a high-speed chase from the cops while I was 7.5 months pregnant. Yeah, 7.5 months pregnant, about to pop his little boy out, and then runs into like the back of some family's backyard, their fence, like 10 minutes prior to having their family outside having McDonald's breakfast. Like, it could have been all bad. But I was happy. I'm not even going to lie. I was so happy when he did that and went to prison. Because he was, like I said, he was physically abusive. I was ready for him to go. I was ready to pop that baby out and get on with my life. And at that time was when I graduated the outpatient rehab. I graduated drug court. I graduated probation. That was I believe, the last CPS I was on, I believe, the last month or so of me getting her back. Yeah. So then he went to prison for 4 years. He was out of his son's life for 4 years.
So, with all due respect and all joking implied, your taste in men are great.
Look, I feel like I'm the type of person who I find these broken men and I feel like I gotta fix them. I don't know why.
That has always worked in the history of dating.
I know.
Broken people always try to fix broken people.
Look, the next man that I meet. Listen, the best one of them all, okay? Very best one. So, after my son's father goes to prison, okay, I meet this wonderful man who is the perfect guy, and I fell so deeply in love with him. Oh my gosh, like, he was everything I wanted. He was perfect. He was tall. He was handsome. He had a nice beard. He was tatted up. Oh my gosh, absolutely loved him. He had a good job. He was so nice to me. He loved my kids. Oh my gosh, like, he was top tier, okay? Top tier. Freaking amazing, okay? Absolutely amazing. And I had so many haters, like, yo, Amanda, he's gay, right? I'm like, dude, no, he's not. He's not gay. Yeah, he's gay. I was in jail with him. He's gay. I thought they were just hating, okay? I really did. I thought they were just hating. Let me just go on from there, okay? So, anyways, we end up moving in together. He is a father of 4. He did not have custody of his kids. His mom did. He had recently got out of prison himself for drugs. Don't give me that look. Don't give me the look. Okay. Anyways, he was doing good. We were good. We were being sober together. We were good. Okay. We get our own house. I helped him get custody of all 4 of his kids back within this 4-year span. I was with him for 4 years. Okay. I got a good job. He had a good job. Like, we had nice cars. We had nice things. Like, this was the perfect life. I thought I found the one. Like, he was amazing. Okay. So we get all 4 of his kids back. I have my 2 kids. We get this beautiful house. We renovate it ourselves. Like, it was a 7-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms. It was beautiful. Like, absolutely beautiful. Yes. Like, I was in there like swimwear. I was thanking God for this man, okay? Then there towards the end, things just started to not feel right. And there were red flags in between there, but those are stories for other days that I'm not going to get into. But there towards the end, things are starting to get a little fishy. And this one day, his son and I went to the store, and I told him, I was like, I need to tell you something. Please just keep it between you and I. I don't want it to, like, cause anything. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to marry your dad, because there's some things that have happened, and I just don't know if I can do it, because we were engaged. And he's like, that's okay. I need to tell you something too. And we got back to the car, because we had this conversation in the store. We got back to the car, and he just started bawling to me. And he was like, please don't look at me differently. Please don't look at me differently. And I thought he was going to tell me he was gay. Seriously, I thought he was going to tell me he was gay. And of course I wasn't going to look at him differently. But he proceeds to tell me, and I'm going to keep it PG. I'm not going to say what he told me, but essentially his dad had been sexually assaulting him. And my entire world changed. It went. I was not expecting him to tell me what he told me, and he went into detail about what his dad did. And I knew that this kid was not lying to me. I knew he wasn't lying to me. And it literally, like, after he told me, I went home, I grabbed my Bible, I went in the bathroom, and I sobbed uncontrollably. And I'm like, God, please tell me what to do. And mind you, the day prior, I was on my way home from work crying to God too. Like, because I needed a sign, because we were literally about to get married. Like, I was like, God, please give me a sign. Am I supposed to marry this man or not? Because once I'm married, I'm married. I'm not getting divorced. And this was basically God, like, slapping me across the face. Here you go, Amanda. Here's your sign. And so that night, obviously, I didn't say anything that night, because I knew we had a gun in the house, and he is a felon. He's not allowed to have a gun. But at that point, like, I didn't know what would happen if I was to have said something. So it was so hard coming home, not saying anything to that man, and sleeping beside him that night. It was so hard. I didn't get an ounce of sleep. But I knew he had work the next day, and I had already had a plan. So as soon as he got for work the next day, as soon as he left, I went and I got a towel, and I got up in our closet, and I grabbed that gun, and I took it downstairs to the basement, and I hid it. And then as soon as I came back upstairs, there's his son. He was like, I didn't sleep at all last night. I was like, I didn't either. So it was the weekend. So we took all the girls to the grandmas, and I took my kids to their grandmas. And his son stayed with me, because we were going to go to the police and do a police report and all that. We ended up going to my sister's, and I got her, and I explained to her everything that happened. And she ended up going with me and did everything. So we went to the police station, and we were with the cops from like 10 o'clock in the morning until like 1:30 at night, because I think it was a Saturday, now that I think about it, because the judge wasn't in, and they had to get a search warrant because there was a gun in the house and because he was a felon. But if there wasn't a gun, and if he wasn't a felon, and I went to the police and I told them what happened, it would just be hearsay. They wouldn't have done anything. So it all worked in the kids' favor, honestly. It all worked out like it was supposed to. But so we had to write out statements. I wrote out the statement on what his son told me, and then he had to write out a statement on what his dad did to him. And then my sister wrote out a statement on what I told her and what he told her. But we waited there with the cops, like I said, all day, waiting on that search warrant. And they ended up having SWAT come in at like 12 midnight, something like that, just to get him out. And once they got him, I called his brother. I called my ex's brother and told him what was going on, and he didn't have nothing to say to me. He was actually kind of mad about it, to be honest with you. And his mom the next day, oh my gosh, first of all, I just want to say his family absolutely hates my entire existence for what I did. His mom was like, why couldn't you have went about it a different way? And what other way would I have went about it? Like, what do you do? Like, I don't understand. Like, anyways, I don't know. God bless her. I hope he has mercy on her. I don't know. But anyways, so he ended up admitting to all of the allegations against him. But um, after, after they arrested him, I'm sorry, I missed the part. After they arrested him, um, the other three girls came forward and said everything that he was doing to them. And like I said, he admitted to it. They gave him 4 life sentences for it. And all the kids went and lived with their mom. I didn't have rights to them because we weren't married. Um, but like years later, I was able to talk to the girls, and they told me, like, hey, do you remember that one time that he would have you go to the store all the time? Well, he would have us go upstairs and do this and do that and stuff like that. And it just broke my heart because they remembered where I was, what I was doing, and I did not see any of it. There were no signs. There were, like, he was such a great father. Like, I sometimes blame myself for it, but I'm telling you, like, there were no signs at all. Like, he was an incredible father to all of the kids, including my own. Like, he was, I don't know. There were just no signs. And I've talked to so many counselors and therapists, and they said those people are what are called groomers, and they have this persona where they have to make themselves look like they are perfect people on the outside so they can hide their demons and then like do all their dirt like with their victims.
Okay, so with respect here, so with the horrible relationship after horrible relationship after horrible relationship, at this point, after this guy, do you trust men?
No,
To this day, do you trust men?
no, I don't.
So whenever you are in a relationship, I'm not trying to make a joke here, as the perpetually single person you are, does does it make it harder to be in a relationship having all this behind you? And whenever you try to date, does it does it not mesh?
Yeah, it does. There's always like thoughts in the back of my head like, is this man looking at my daughter different, or well, now any red flag that pops up, I'm like, I'm done. I'm over it, because I have tried to date, ever since all that. And there have been, all of them are duds. Obviously, they didn't work out because I'm single. But I feel like if I ever find the one, I'm going to know it's the one. So until then, I'm just going to work on myself.
And no, I mean I can agree with the working on yourself. I think it's very important that you do. But just a friendly question here between family here. Don't you think that you're setting yourself up for failure if at the first sign of what could possibly just be and I honestly do hate these terms, the tiniest of red flags, and you're like, okay, well, I don't like that, so I'm out. Don't you think you're kind of setting yourself up for failure?
I do now that you say it like that because there's not going to be a perfect person. But like,
No, because as close as I am to perfect, I have so many red flags.
well, oh my gosh, like I don't. Maybe I'm one of the ones that are meant to be single, and I'm okay with that. If that's how God wants me to be, I'm okay with that because I feel like I'm the happiest single. Like, I don't have to answer to nobody. Not saying like, well, I mean, I kind of did in every relationship that I've ever been in, but like, I don't have to answer to nobody. I don't have to make sure that I have anybody else please other than my children, but that's kind of like a given. I want to do that, not that I have to, you know?
Are you happy though? At the end of the night, whenever it's just you, you're laying in bed or you're, I don't know, like doing whatever, you're like in the shower or like, you're doing your hair or whatever, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Are you happy?
Why you gotta ask me that? Because I want to say yes, but now that you ask it like that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I
I
miss
mean,
having somebody there with me, you know? But then I think about like my other relationships, like I don't want to have to go through what I went through, you know? Because every
oh
relationship
no,
I've
I
ever
mean,
been in has been a failure. So who's to say the next one I get in is not going to be another failure?
listen, I understand because before I found Bianca, I was exactly where you were. Well, maybe not exactly because, like I didn't have necessarily uh so, like the winners. I had a different version of winners. I had the insane. I had the super clingy. I had the uber insane. I had the relationships where we didn't really even give a crap about each other. We were just together for the convenience of having somebody. So like I understand because like the reason why I asked because it got to the point where outside I'm the happiest person in the world. I am there for everybody. I'm making sure that you have a smile on your face. Uh, like this person's got a smile on their face, but I get home, middle of the night, like I go to the bathroom to like brush my teeth or something like that. I'm looking in the mirror, and that's whenever I realized I'm not happy. And I know that I'm not happy, but I know at some point he's gonna get me there. So there's hope. So if you're in that boat that I was in, and I know that he always provides hope.
Yeah.
So whenever I ask that, and I probably should warn you that I do these kind of questions, but I like authenticity. I like the realness, and I like people learning more about themselves because like I'm learning about you and I'm also when you're telling your story, I'm learning about me too. So whenever I'm asking these questions, I like people understanding that maybe I didn't look at it a certain way. I've been single-minded, single focused this entire time. Maybe I look at it another way, and you'll get there.
Yeah.
So now let's divert because emotional.
Yeah. It's okay.
When does Amanda get on TikTok? Because that's actually how I met you.
Amanda got on TikTok after after he okay, so after he got in trouble, I lost the beautiful home. I lost everything. Cuz that was the time COVID hit and I had lost my really good job. So, we just decided I was going to stay home and homeschool the kids because of COVID. So, obviously I couldn't keep up with the bills, so I lost everything. I moved in with my sister, um, and Then I got an apartment of my own, which is the one that I'm in. And I was bored, you know, in between doing recovery coach, doing school. I got on TikTok and I was just watching like other people. I wasn't posting or anything. And then um, one of my friends was like, you know what, you should get on TikTok and you should, tell your story about what happened. So I did, and I went live actually a couple times and told my story, and that's where I met one of my good friends, Anita, and then I met Aaron, another one of my good friends, and then that's where I met another one of my good friends, Rosie, and then that's how I met you. And then from there is when I met all of the BBS, and then here I am today.
So, yeah, me and Rosie, we talked about on her episode. What does meeting all everyone, say from like our little group of friends, our family, how does all these personalities, all these people help you? What brings, how do I put this? Did meet like, because I know meeting you guys, it has changed a lot for me. It'll change a lot about my life, my personality, like who I am as a person. Uh, what how does meeting all of them that change you? How did that change you?
Um, so after meeting everybody and hearing everybody's individual story and where they were as opposed to where they've been. So like when I heard Aaron's story about him being in the army and then where he was when I had met him, it was an inspiring story. And then I heard about Rosie's story, where she was with her depression and her disease and how long it took her to get diagnosed. And then how she is today is her story alone is inspiring. And
Oh yeah,
I listened to her episode and it was had me crying and laughing and all the above. And all the other people too. Um, but everybody's story has their own like little piece that I somehow relate to, that I took into play in my own life, I guess, sort of in a way, to where I became confident enough in who I am to be, I guess, who I am today. Because if somebody like Rosie can go through all of the bull crap that she went through, like with her marriage and her disease and illness and depression, if she can go through something as traumatic as that, then what I went through, thinking that I went through some horrible crap, then I know I can get through it and be just as okay as she is today. So I think everybody that I met on TikTok and in BBS has blessed me beyond measure. And I don't know if I could ever thank God enough for TikTok in general, because if I had not had TikTok, I would not have known you guys at all. I am incredibly grateful for it.
do you feel more confident now than you have ever felt confident in your life?
100%. 100%. For sure. Absolutely.
And so you've mentioned your faith quite a bit, quite a lot, and that's something that I actually do admire you a lot for. You recently got baptized,
I did.
so how does, as someone that hasn't been baptized or is getting close to that kind of mindset of like, hey, I I want to be, I want to be saved. I want to, I want a better life. I want, God to come into my life. How does this, how did you come to this?
How did I come to get baptized?
Yes.
Well, I was baptized as a baby, but to me, I don't know why, which this is just my opinion. I don't know why they baptize babies when, yes, babies are born into sin, but like babies are so pure. They're like the purest form because they don't know sin. So that's why I don't know why babies do get baptized. But like I have always wanted to get baptized, and I was looking into getting baptized at the church that I go to. But for some reason, I didn't have a good feeling about getting baptized there. I just didn't like how they had it. And I follow this woman named Caleb Gabbard on TikTok, and I absolutely adore her. Oh my gosh, I love her. She goes around the country and does the revival baptisms. And I said, God, if you let her come to Ohio, I promise no matter where it is, I want to go and get baptized by her. So I was on TikTok and I seen where she was coming to Ohio. And before I seen where the location was, I prayed about it. I was like, God, please do not let this be like 4 hours away from me because my car, I don't know if I can make it 4 hours away. And I seen it and it was only like 2.5 hours. And prior to this, my sister had been talking about going on a road trip. So as soon as I seen it, I called her up. I was like, dude, we're going on a road trip. I know where we're going. So we went to the beach where she was doing it at. It was beautiful. And we got baptized. She actually got baptized too. It was something that I never thought that she would ever want to do. Not saying because she's not a believer, she's a believer, but like when I got into the water, first of all, I just want to say something, okay? I I said I loved Kayla. I freaking fangirled so hard over her when I seen her. Like I seen her like so far away in the water because there were so many people there. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, Vanessa, there's Kayla. Oh my gosh, fangirling so hard. And then I would hear God, Amanda, why are you fangirling over Kayla? You're not here for her. You're here for me. And in the end, I ended up getting baptized by a different pastor, not even by Kayla. I didn't even get to meet Kayla, which is fine. I'm totally fine. I was there to get baptized, not to meet Kayla. Okay, fine. It was fine.
I mean,
Anyways,
it would have been, like nice little like icing on the cake, but you can't have your cake and eat it too.
yes, it would have. I was close to her. She was baptizing other people while I was getting baptized. It was fine though. I was in the same water as her. It's fine. But anyways,
That it counts. That's science.
yes, it definitely did count. But when I walked in the water, you can just feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. It is such an unbelievable feeling. I cannot describe it. It is something that you have to witness for yourself, and I strongly suggest doing it. When we were praying, he was praying for me. He was the one that was basically praying for me. He was, praying over my life, praying over my kids, praying over my faith. I was being honest with him and telling him like I'm not being obedient. I'm not in my Bible every day. I'm back to smoking. I'm not praying for others like I should be. I'm cussing. I'm doing this wrong and this wrong. And that's what we prayed mostly for. And then he started to speak in tongues, and I've never heard that before in my entire life. And it was just, I can't explain it. But anyways, after we were done praying, I got baptized. And as soon as I came up out of the water, I was like, I get chills talking about it every single time. But as soon as I came up out of the water, it was an unbelievable feeling of, I knew I was born again. You definitely can tell that your old self is dead and left in the water, and you are born again in Christ. It is the best feeling and the best thing I have ever done in my entire life. And I strongly suggest, if you do get baptized, please do it in a body of water. I'm not saying don't do it if it's like at a church and they have like a tub or whatever. Just do it regardless. But I'm saying like it is the best experience doing it in a body of water. And also that day, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a rainbow. We had a storm.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
oh my gosh, this rainbow was so beautiful. It was like God saying, like, this is my event. That's what Kayla said, and she was absolutely right. He was saying, this is my event. This storm is not going to stop it. You can get baptized. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm very thankful for it.
That that's great. And I bring it up because my son, my oldest son, uh, he called me a couple of days ago, and he told me that on the 11th he's getting baptized.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So I was super
amazing.
excited. Yeah, I was super excited. He had actually just came back from NYR in Colorado. It's a National Youth Revival kind of thing. So he spent like a
Oh,
week over there. He comes back. He came back to my house for the weekend. They had kind of talked to him about it there, and then him and his mom had talked about it after church. And then he called me while I was at work, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing on the 11th?" And I was like, "I don't know, buddy. That's like several weeks away. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "I'm getting baptized." So he asked me if I could be there, and I was like, dude, there's nothing on this planet that's gonna keep me from being there. So
oh my gosh.
yeah, so I'm super. I told him I'm super excited. I told him that being baptized is the greatest thing that you will ever do in your entire life. And I was like, not even joking. I was like, it's better than you kids. So I was like, um. told him that like my grandma, his great grandma, the one that passed away last year, I told him that she's ecstatic right now. I know she is. Um,
Oh.
and then he had asked me if I was ever baptized, and I told him I didn't tell him the entire story, and I haven't really actually went into too much. When in 2005, whenever my late girlfriend passed away, uh, I should have been angry. In a sense, I was. I was also very much drunk most of the time afterwards. Uh, but and that was whenever I realized just how I was spiraling and I was out of control I was. And at that time, I kind of fought God, the whole existence of him, uh, because before she died, I don't know. I guess I was just against anything that I couldn't control.
Right.
Like I couldn't stand the idea that somebody else had control over my existence. Uh, and for whatever reason, as I was growing up, I even like my grandmother and my mom and my dad's side of the family's Catholic, and my grandma went from Christian churches to Baptist churches to Pentecostals and stuff like that. And speaking in tongues, she every time I was going through a bad day, and she would hug me, she would start praying in tongues, and I was like, what are you doing? So it's but whenever Rachel passed away and I was starting to like a month or two had went by, I'm drinking a lot, I'm just spiraling, slowly starting to spiral. And I remember and I thought to myself, this is not what she would want from me. This is just like the worst thing that I can do. So like I talked to my buddy Casey, who was a cop here in the town that I live in, and we met up for lunch. And he was listening to the things that I was saying because it was the first time I'd ever heard the phrase "God gave you two ears and one mouth. Listen more, speak less." So that's what he was doing. He was listening while I was just rambling on about how much pain and how much hate and how much anger I had for the whole situation. And I let it all out. And he's like, "Do you feel better?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, a little
Mhm.
bit." He's, and then he's like, "Do you mind if I pray?" It's like, I was like, "All right, you listen to me, for like the last 30 minutes talking." So, and bitching. So I was like, I was listening to the prayer, and I just felt it. It's, you know the feeling. You just feel it.
Yeah. Mhm.
So like I remember getting saved, and then like a couple months later, I actually it was about a year later. I had met my first ex-wife, my daughter's mom, and I no wait, this was before her. Sorry, so many concussions. Things get So anyway, it was yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like no, about 6 months later. I had started going to church with my buddies. And at the time, I was still wrestling, like doing professional wrestling. So, like, I found a church that accepted the fact that I was coming in, like, rolling into town right as church had already started. So I was always late to church. I had, like, I had the guy liner all smudged. I had bruises. I had blood on my lips. And they never questioned it. They never questioned. They'd known me long enough to know that they don't ask questions. So I would I went up there and I was like, hey, I want to be baptized. Told my friends, and I had a lot of friends that were praying one day that this day was going to happen. My grandma was super excited. My mom was super excited. Uh, so
Aw.
the day before the baptism, mind you, I at that I was young, so like I was constantly coloring my hair. So like I go into meet with the pastor to kind of for him to kind of run things through with me, and like my hair is like black. I go to uh church that day to get baptized, and it's like bright white. Not on purpose, it's because I forgot that it was in there. So, and like he's like, and I had a hat on whenever I like sat in there. He's like, "Hey, take it off." And it's like where the baptism was at, like not a lot of people could see my hair, so like, but they knew that like I had black hair, so like I do the baptism. I come back up. He's like, "Same guy," just so we're clear here.
Oh, man.
But honestly, yeah, it was honestly the greatest thing that one of the greatest things that I've ever done. Actually, the greatest thing that I've ever done. And then, kids and, meeting, Bianca, but, depending on how, like, which one irritates me more on, like, on a day. But, yeah, it's the greatest thing that you can do.
It
So,
really.
I was super excited whenever you told me that you were getting baptized. So that's great. So, as a single woman who is, I mean, you are a very beautiful woman, so, and you're funny sometimes. Uh, Dating these days in this time frame, how much does it suck?
Uh, well, let's see here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, um, it breaks the scale. There's no level for how bad it sucks. It just sucks.
How it's like I feel like I mean I obviously don't know what you women go through but like just the level of creepiness that comes across and the audacity. Let's just talk about the audacity that some of these men just
Oh, I know.
blatantly throw at you.
Because they think that we want to see a picture of their pickle. Like, I just don't understand. Like, can you, like, because you're a man, like, what is it that makes you think that it's okay or that we want to see that? Like, I'm just curious.
I've never once thought that that was a smart idea
And,
on multiple levels.
okay,
Level one is that no woman, I mean, let's be real here. Let's be honest, it's an open forum here. No woman really ever wants to see one
no,
unless they've initiated it. You
yes,
women have all the power. I firmly realized this a long time ago. Women have all the power,
all of it,
all of
all of
it.
it.
And
Oh,
then the other part that I have a hard time with is that it's not a very attractive body part.
it's not at all. At
So
all.
for men to think, hey, let's just throw that in somebody's literal, like, well, not literally face or their face, like their phone, like feast your eyeball. Where
But
you
it's
when you could be at church or you could be in the supermarket or hanging out with your mother, you know.
it's like the worst too. It's like it's not even something I would be proud of either. Is it like a preview of what this is what you're gonna get if you get with me? Like this is all you get, ma'am? Like I don't understand. It I will
See, this
never
is why this is why I'm firmly been like established the thought that this is why this like some single women's utility bills are as high as they are because there are clearly other things.
oh my
Anyway,
god.
so dating sucks. Men are have way too much audacity. I'm sure your DMs are just literal literally just littered with a bunch of random dudes saying hey over and over and over and over.
I'm
Does
more
that
like
like does
I
that
just
affect your day at all? Like just seeing all this?
okay, I want to just say this. I would prefer getting hit on by a woman over a man any day. Any freaking day. 100%. And when I get complimented by a man, I don't even take it as a compliment anymore. I just take it as like, bro, I know why you're calling me beautiful. I know why. Okay? If a woman calls me beautiful, I feel like they genuinely mean it. But like I said, if a man calls me that, I feel like they only want one thing. That's just how I interpret. Okay, now I hold on. I take that back because okay, not all men because you did and you have said that I'm pretty before, and I know that's not how you are or people in our family. I do take that back. I'm sorry. I mean, like people in my DM. I should have said that. My bad. Sorry. But yeah.
That's no, that's fair. I was hoping that I wasn't getting roped into that
Sorry.
thing because I mean, after all, I mean, pre Bianca, if I there that phrase right there, men only want one thing. I'm sorry, but like I want your literal tacos. Like you order off of out of a Mexican restaurant. Like if you've got tacos, I'm gonna take them. That's what I want. I don't care about anything else. That's what I'm going for. No, Bianca one time told me that and this is has to be true because like she said it was science that if a drunk woman in a women's bathroom calls you beautiful that she is meaning it from her soul. Confirm or deny.
Yes, it's true. It is so true. It is so freaking true. I've had so many heartfelt conversations with girls in the bathroom being drunk. It's so true. It's absolutely 100% true.
Oh, oh. So do you think that do you honestly think that you're going to be single for the rest of your life, or do you have the hope out there that there is a man out there that can pass the Amanda test?
um, I feel like yes, maybe there is, but I feel like that could be a long time from now. So I'm just going to leave it in God's hands. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to entertain. I'm just going to focus on what I have going on here and work and my kids and whatever happens is meant to happen. I just go from there. Because I just want to say this. It's the look on your face. Every time I have done it myself, look what's happened. Now granted, with the pedophile though, I know God placed me in that family to save those kids. So, but like I said, every
Now,
time.
other than I was gonna say, because like some people would probably, say in hindsight, they feel bad about being in that situation, but you choose to look at it from the perspective of this was unfortunate. This was not something that I would think that would ever happen to me, but I was there. I helped these kids out. I got them away from a situation that they didn't need to be. And I honestly commend you for that because not a lot of people would look at it that way. They would look at it on a selfish point.
Yeah. I
So,
I do want to say one more thing about that situation though. Do you remember before I started it, I said that I had haters that said he was
oh yeah.
gay. He really was gay. He was cheating on me with men too. They weren't lying.
I mean, one person says it, hater. Two person says it, jealous hater. Three, maybe 15 people say it.
I
There might be some truth
went
to the
through
rumor.
I went through his history after he got locked up, okay? I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay?
Well, you always delete the search history.
Yeah. It's not pleasant. Okay. It's not pleasant at all.
I'm sure it wasn't.
No,
Um,
not at
all
all.
right. So we moved past all that. So what does Amanda appreciate the most about her life right now?
The thing that I appreciate the most is the fact that I don't have to depend on a man in my life anymore. Because before now, I always had a man in my life. I always had to depend on somebody. I don't now. I've been on my own ever since that happened. I don't have to rely on somebody else to make sure my bills are paid, make sure I am stable, make sure my kids are good because I have that now. I have made a safe zone for my kids and I have the choice on whether or not I can let somebody in my life and their life. I am grateful for how my life is now. That is what I love the most, honestly.
Okay. Now I asked Rosie this too. You can go back in time and you can talk to little Amanda. Now cause I don't really know how tall you are, so like I it might just be average Amanda. I don't know. But younger Amanda than you are now, because you are still relatively young. You
Well,
can
thank you.
sit down with her, look her in the eyes. What would you tell yourself at that young of an age?
Oh my gosh. I would honestly tell her that no matter what you go through, everything will be okay. Yeah. No matter what you go through, everything will be. There were a lot of times where I thought I wasn't going to. There were a lot of times where I thought I was going to be stuck in that situation forever. but I would definitely say that you're going to be okay.
You've been in a family that you weren't treated with a proper amount of respect, love, and care. You've been in relationships that were less than to be desired. You've been beaten down by addiction. You fought addiction. You're winning against addiction. You found a stronger faith. You had these beautiful kids. You've done all of that, and you've almost given up, what, let's say one couple times in your life.
Yeah.
There's someone out there listening to the show right now. If you could talk to them who have, and maybe they have gone through similar experiences, what would you want them to learn about your story and how maybe it could help them?
What I would want them to learn from my story is that, gosh, no matter how bad you think your life is, no matter how low you have hit rock bottom, you can always go up from there. But you have to want it. You have to want better for yourself. Because if you don't want better for yourself, you are going to stay where you are. I think that is one of the best pieces of advice that anybody has ever given me when I was at one of my lowest moments. Because, like, I said before, like, I wanted to give up so many times, and I just feel like anybody who is at their lowest point or has been at their lowest point who doesn't think they can, you know, go on from there. If you don't have the want to get better, you're not going to get better. So I think that the best thing to do is to just want better for yourself. And if it's not for yourself, if you have, kids, do better for your kids. So
Okay, so we've talked about all the serious stuff. And yes, we've sprinkled in a little, funny, a little anecdote here and there. But so as we've well past the hour here, let's lighten it up a little bit. What does Amanda do for fun? Like whenever the world's crazy and you just had like the crappiest day in the world, and I want you to know that I have worked this entire show not to cuss as much as I normally do, out of respect. So just so we're clear here. Um, so when the world has gone to crap and you're like, hey, all right, I need to do something fun. I need to go to my happy place. What is that? What do you do?
my happy place. Let me see. A few different things. My first one is singing. I am a horrible singer, but I will sing really loud. My kids sing with me sometimes too. The next thing I do is I read. I do read. Um, and since I've like stepped into my faith a lot more, I read. I have quite a few books that I have now that I read. Another thing is obviously TikTok. Um, it used to be painting, but like I fell off that I don't know why. Um, I guess another thing is to go on walks with my kids. That's it.
So a lot of that I didn't know about you. I love the fact that you read. Who's your favorite author?
Favorite author? Danielle Steele. You know who that
Shocker.
is?
Yeah, I know who
Yeah.
Danielle Stone.
Did you say shocker?
Yeah, shocker.
Why?
So I'm not saying that you look like a stereotypical romance-y book type, but I'm
Incredible
not saying you don't look like that either.
though.
No, I mean she does. She is an amazing author. I will give her that. She is. I mean, you don't get to be that well known without being really good at your profession. Um, do you have a favorite of her books?
Oh my gosh, I haven't read one of hers in a hot minute. I think the last one that I read was really good. I think it was The Gift. I think about the baby, maybe.
I don't know. I've never read a word anything that she's ever wrote. Not my cup of tea.
Haven't
No,
you've never read
I'm
anything?
a so like I am a I love authors like I mean like I love Stephen King.
I
Some
like
of his
Stephen
stuff, some of his stuff is a little weird for me, and that says a lot. I like see my favorite book of all time was Mitch Albom's Tuesdays with Morrie, and
I don't know if I know that one.
so that one is about his old college professor gets diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. And so he goes and sees him like every Tuesday and he teaches him about life and dying. So he records it uh, and writes about it. Actually, is the first book that I ever read in like a day.
Oh
And I don't know
wow.
something about that book just kind of just stuck with me. I'm more and like I love like autobiographies and stuff like that. I really into like learning about history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, except which is weird because like whenever I write myself, I don't really like it goes completely against everything that I love to read. So it's a weird thing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So and also singing. So are we practicing for the Grammys?
I was gonna try for American Idol first, and then maybe go for Grammys if I did okay. You know,
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah. It's just too bad Simon's not on there because I would totally love to see that audition.
I'm on AGT, right?
I'm
Or
pretty sure, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
he's
pretty
on it.
sure that's where he went.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. AGT instead of The Voice, or not The Voice, American Idol. Or I could do
I
The
don't
Voice
know,
too. You know,
the voice would have been great, although I'm still sad that Blake and Adam aren't on there anymore.
Blake's not on there.
No, I think he stepped down like a couple years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it. Like, I'll watch like the blinds on like a YouTube or something like that every once in a while. You never know. You might find somebody that sings something way better than you do. Because clearly, I am not ever going to be on there.
Me either.
So, okay. So we've learned all this stuff about you, and I'm super glad that you've came on here to tell your story. And I personally have learned more about you than I think I knew. Very honestly, very little because I don't think we've ever really like. I think we talked about this. I don't think we've ever had a actual conversation.
Yeah, I don't think we have either.
So I've learned so much about you, and I have to tell you that as much as you went through. And as hard as it was, the fact that you just kept going and that you kept just wanting better, or you knew that you deserved better. You have, I don't know how many times I could tell a person this, but I've told you many times, there's a warrior in you that has just struck so many chords with so many people with just your determination. And I don't think that you will ever get the recognition of just how far you've come, how hard you fought, how many people you've actually probably inspired, even before TikTok. So I think that you just deserve all the praise in the world for going through all that. I mean, if it was anybody else, a lesser person would have just collapsed and just unalived themselves. But and as much as you tried, you failed for reasons, and they're here. And you talk about saving those kids, and your own kids is, you know, better because you're better. And every person that you came in contact with, I guarantee you is a better person because they see it in you. And if and I mean this with all due respect, and all due admiration and love. There's still a you that has not happened yet, and I guarantee you, when you meet that version of you, it's going to be a very spectacular day for everybody. There's nothing in this world I don't think you can do, especially coming from all of that. So I really think that you need to take a moment and just accept the fact that, yeah, I went through everything, but I'm still effing here. And I'm still going to be here. No matter how alone I can feel sometimes, how unhappy I can feel sometimes, that can't stop me. And I know that because every time I look at you, I see the person that I know that you can be. And not just can be, are going to be. So I'm really proud of you. And if nobody else has said it to you in the last hour and a half, I'm very proud of you, especially learning about this because I've heard from other people just some of the stuff that you went through. But hearing it firsthand, seeing it coming out of your mouth, even though sometimes the video got a little like
I'm sorry.
pixelated, it's fine. No, um, seeing it come out of your mouth, hearing it come out of your mouth for the ones on Spotify, I I can't imagine how hard, and I can't imagine what kept you going. I'm just glad that it did, and I'm thankful that it did.
I can't stand you right now. Thank you so
So
much. Thank you
you're welcome.
so much. Thank you so much.
So as we wrap up, is there one thing that you want people to know about you that you haven't said?
Um, I honestly don't think that there's any part of me that I've not ever shared with anybody. I mean, besides what we spoke about earlier, but honestly, like what I share with everybody is me.
And you are amazing. So, and I'm thankful that you shared. So,
No,
thank you
what?
for
So are
coming on
you,
the show.
Shannon. Thank you so much
What?
for having
You're welcome.
Thanks for making me cry too.
Yeah, that's what I do.
What's my makeup
That's
up?
that's my superpower. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on In Your Head with Shannon Sanford with my special guest Amanda. Thank you again for coming on. So you can again check us out on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, or you can find us now on YouTube. So go subscribe, go find us, listen to us. I don't care. Leave a comment, leave a rating. It's all great. I make $0 from this because it's not about money. It's about helping people, whether it giving them like a free therapy session or just a reason to understand that they are not alone. So thank you very much, Amanda, and
Thank
everyone. Thank you. Everyone, go be the light.